Welcome back here to the Hill on News Nation. Tonight, Vladimir Putin seemingly has a message for the United States. 3 Russian ships and a nuclear-powered submarine are on their way to Cuba. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry saying today that its military conducted drills over the Atlantic Ocean on the way to Cuba, which involve firing high-precision missiles that can travel over 370 miles. For context, Havana, Cuba is just 90 miles south from the southernmost point of Florida. Now, the movements also come just days after the United States gave Ukraine the green light to use Western weapons within Russia's borders, to which Putin hinted there could be consequences if that happened. A Pentagon spokesperson telling NewsNation today, quote, "Russia's deployments are part of routine naval activity, and we are not concerned by Russia's deployments, which pose no direct threat to the United States." Back with us now here on the Hill, the retired 4-star General Wesley Clark, the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO forces as well. General Clark, great to speak with you again. Thank you for being back with us here on the Hill. So, the Pentagon basically saying no biggie here. I don't know, sir. You tell me. Putin seems like he's trying to send a message. What is it?
Well, he is sending a message. I mean, there's no direct threat here. They're not going to attack the United States. Sure, true. It's all part of the sort of a hybrid warfare, bouncing back and forth, showing Russia's strength, showing the fact that they can come into our backyard, so to speak, and sail around with warships. And remember, Russia's very close friends with Venezuela's President Maduro, and Maduro is threatening Guyana. And the big resource in Guyana is about 90 miles offshore, big oil field that Exxon's in, Chevron wants in. Guyana doesn't have any means to protect it. But it's in, it's Guyana's, but Venezuela would like to have it. And so there's a little shadow boxing going on here. I don't think it's anything that's going to erupt in violence, but does it send a message to the United States and the world? Sure, and that's Putin's intent.
So shadow boxing, sending a message is the intent, I take it, as you say it. Is this it? Or do you think there's going to be a little more tit for tat, for lack of a better term, back and forth?
Right now, we don't see any indication of anything that's beyond this. But anytime that they go to Cuba, there's still an intelligence listening station in Cuba. Cuba's not exactly a U.S. ally, so it's never a wholesome visit. And remember, it also takes a little bit of the focus off what's going on in Ukraine, and that is in America's vital interest. Protecting the international rules-based order is America's vital interest, and that is threatened in Ukraine. And if Russia gets away with conquering Ukraine, China will certainly move in Taiwan. And so this is a part of a distraction.
I was looking at the numbers, General, and for our audience, just comparing where we are, the United States compared to Russia. We have about 8 times the budget, the military budget of Russia. When you look at submarines, basically the same aircraft carriers, we have significantly more. Strategic nuclear weapons, though, nearly identical. Is that sort of the equalizer, or is it just that our military is significantly greater than theirs and they don't really pose a serious threat at this point in time?
Well, you can't look at the budget because they're not paying their people anything to speak of. And
Right.
They don't cost things out the same way. So the budget's meaningless. They have a very effective nuclear force. We think it works. They also have tactical nuclear weapons that we don't have. And the White House has just said we're going to have to relook our nuclear weapons policy because China's building up its nuclear supply. So, for 30 years, we've sort of coasted on our nuclear defense and our deterrence. And it's clear that nuclear weapons have significance. They are useful, and we can't neglect them.
General Wesley Clark, thank you, sir. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate the time. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.